Hey there. Hey, it's Lucas. Got a little Millrite MVN Mill here. Gone through most of it, and boy, it's just running great. You can hear it's running right now. It's at about 23 hertz, so 23 over 60 would be the percent of full speed on the motor. So a couple things about the mill. I'm going to include a little segment that I shot earlier where I actually looked at the flatness of the table, and it's actually very good. It seems to be within a thousandths all the way across. So I'm going to show that. I'm going to talk about what the mill's got with it, what I've done to it, and we'll go from there. So to start with, let's talk about the motor. It's got a three-phase motor, but it's also got this sweet little VFD here, so we can speed it up. That's 60 hertz, so it's right at 100% of its rated speed, and we can dial it down. And in fact, I've got a relatively large 3/4 inch diameter milling bit on here, and we're going to do a little milling with it. And actually, I see that the head is a little bit tipped this way, so I'll probably correct it before we actually show it cutting. But let's shut it off and turn it on again so you can see how this works. So there it's off, the spindle's off, and we kick it on and it comes up to speed. If we spin it up fast, it comes up fast. We shut it off and it's down to zero in about 2 seconds or so. So it's got a three-phase motor, but it actually runs on a 220 volt single-phase current. So this is a 1 horsepower VFD. The motor's a 1 horse. I do have the original off and reverse switch on it. Not recommended to use that when you're using the VFD. In fact, I would say wouldn't want to unless there was an emergency. The thought being that you could turn it off from this side of the mill. The mill also has a brake. It's got a spindle brake right here. It's got a spindle lock button. So the Quill lock is right here. And the spindle brake actually operates on the pulley. It's got a step pulley system in it. And the Quill actually has a nice stroke actuation. It'll go about 4 inches up and down. It's got this guard on it, which is important. I would leave this on. This is open and back because this part of the guard actually tilts. So this has a gap in it to clear the shaft, and then to make it complete so that it's you're not going to get your fingers caught in it, you want to put that cap on there. It's got a step pulley, and the step pulley is really give it a tremendous range. But I would say that with the fact that it's got the VFD on it, you can get about at least a 3-to-1 reduction in speed with this. It'll reduce the number of times you actually have to go in, tilt this guard back, and swap positions on these step pulleys. So the VFD with the step pulleys is probably my favorite system. You don't have the complexity of a Reeves drive. You got the simplicity of belts, and you've got the advantage of infinitely, or well, not necessarily infinitely, but quite nicely variable speed on the VFD. So let's talk about some of the accessories that the mill is going to come with. It's got a new set of hold downs. It's got the and in fact, I wanted to mention this. The hold downs on this table are really substantial. They're 5/8 across here, and they're 1/2 inch studs. So actually, this has the same hold down system as my big tree mill, which is behind me here. It's got a knee, and the knee is. And the original, or what looks to be an original handle for the knee, that's right here. So it's got that. Everything works real smoothly on it. The traverse on the X is real good. So you can everything's working great on it. It's going to come with this vise. I think it's a 4-inch vise, and boy, it works great. It's an older Anco. It's Taiwanese, but it works really well. Let's see, what else should I mention? It's got the
a real nice spindle on it. Some of these came with a Brown and Sharp. This one happens to have come with an R8, which is the same as a Bridgeport, and indeed it's got a brand new set of Bridgeport collets with it. They're right here. I'm sorry, not Bridgeport collets, but R8 collets. They're Chinese, but boy, they seem real accurate. It's got a wrench that'll operate these nuts, so you can slip the ram in and out, and then the other end of it will actually operate the nuts right here, and then you can tilt the head. It's got a new paint job. I painted it. It's looking good. The other nice thing about this mill is it's small enough to go in a basement, and in fact, it's also got a neat little accessory, or a neat little component to it. This happens to be a 2-part drawbar. So the cool thing about the drawbar is, if you had a limited headspace room like a basement, and you for some reason needed to remove the drawbar, say you had a problem and you needed a new drawbar, the threads had gotten bunged up, you can actually I'll show how this goes. There's a taper pin right here, and you could knock that out. Then there's low strength or medium strength Loctite between the drawbar and the shaft that goes down to the female threads down here, and you can heat that up a little bit, and that'll just pull right out. And in fact, you can swivel this over a little bit and drop the main part of the drawbar out the bottom of the quill. So that's a nice feature, and it makes operation in a basement very user friendly. So the other cool thing about the mill is it's actually luggable by one guy. In fact, I weigh about 200 pounds, and you can move this mill. So if you have to, you can skid it around your basement. You can get into the position. It all comes apart in pieces that are, a lot more easily managed than a Bridgeport. I'm about 5'10", and this is probably about 6'1", 6'2", maybe, the top of the drawbar. Anyway, it's another aspect of the mill that's been recently gone through is the motor. So the motor was all recently rewound. So that's redone, and it's also got the nice tray. It's a cast aluminum collet tray. Alright, so we're going to cut this piece of mild steel here. We got a 3/4 inch bit, and so we've got the speed dialed down pretty low. It's at about 1/3 of its rated speed, the motor is. So we'll take a cut. First we'll cut it on the edge here with the side flutes. And we're taking off, I'm guessing, probably about 20 thousandths. Not a real deep cut, but boy, it just gets so nice. It's really working good. I checked the run out on the quill, the collet, with a piece of ground drill rod. It's actually under 1 thousandths. It's about 0.7 thousandths or so. You can hear the motor loading down a little bit. And of course, it's also a function of the VFD. The VFD is maintaining the speed. And our chips are coming off just perfect. They're a little hot, which is good. We don't want them too hot. We don't want it sparking. But we want them hot. That means that our mill is functioning properly, and we got a good speed on the bit. They're getting a little straw colored. So you can see we're probably an inch and a half from where we hit that wall. So I'm going to back it out here now. We'll take a look at the finish. We'll shut it off. So better grab a brush here, and we'll take a peek at the finish on it. So not a bad finish at all, really. Really looks pretty good. Got some burring on this side, but that would come off with just a stroke of a file. We'll get rid of that. So that's this mill in operation with aluminum. We're gonna with steel. We're gonna put a piece of aluminum in it now. So I've got this a little fast here. I'm going to turn it down just a tad. It was at 60 hertz. Bringing it down to about 54. And start taking a fairly aggressive cut. And here we can see just a nice flow of chips. So we're probably taking off maybe 15 thousandths off the side, and it's about 3/8 of an inch deep. And let's take a look now at the finish. I think it looks, boy, it looks just like a mirror. That's phenomenal.
I don't have a quill locked in this operation. I probably should do that. Let's just see how this looks. I'm gonna go back over it this way.
And now again, this surface here is just terrific. This is, it does have a little bit more of a rough appearance. And you can feel it is a little bit more rough, but boy, it's actually really good. I'm going to try to be very careful here, but we've got it all blued up, and I'm just going to show the pattern that we get out of it here. So it's touching all the way out to here, and in fact, there's a little bit of blue out here too. As well here. This one goes to about here, blue out to here, and then on the far end, then we've got blue out to here on this end, out to here, out to about here on this one, and about to here. So anyway, I would say that this table is in, you know, you can see a nice smattering of blue within each one of these lands. Anyway, I believe that this table is flat to within, you know, a few tenths, which is awesome.
So anyway, that's the Burke Millrite MVN. Boy, it's a nice little machine. It works great. Aluminum, steel. Really terrific little machine. It'll go in your basement. Sturdy, very strong. Cuts very aggressively. And leaves a nice finish. So, this is Lucas signing off.